Hey everyone, this is Ryan Mallory for SharePlanner.com. Today is January 8th, 2013. Doing another session of live charts for you. The recommendations for me to go over come from my own research and also from those in the SharePlanner Splash Zone where they submit their charts. If you have any charts, you can try and get them in by tweeting them also to me at SharePlanner or going to Ryan at SharePlanner.com, and I'll try to fit those in as well. Right off the bat here, let's just take a quick glance at the S&P 500. 5-minute chart is what's telling the story on the day. We've had a perpetual sell-off, and throughout the morning, no bounce at all. And then around 11:30, we finally got some kind of traction for the bull's sake, and then we pulled back again. It looked like we might test the session lows. We didn't. Instead, we're forming what this looks like to be a cup and handle now. One thing that I would suggest, and I had mentioned this earlier in other sessions, that this kind of formation here is very bullish on an intraday basis. So there is a good likelihood that we will rally anywhere between 3 points all the way up to break even before the end of the day. So unless something happens after 3 o'clock, these are likely your session lows on the day. Things are setting up very well to push much higher into the close. So I was originally wanting to get into MR as my short position, and I was struggling mightily to get an ideal entry onto this thing. So just looking at this 5-minute chart here, you'll see that it sold off. I got close to buying it here, but I held off on it, which obviously would have been a good entry price. But right now with the S&P rallying, I think that there's a chance that this could even go from red to green on the day. So I'm going to hold off on that until I can get a better feel for the S&P. So going forward into the close here, I'm probably going to start aligning myself a little bit to the long side. I got one short position right now in Tiva, and it's rallied a little bit against my original entry at 38.10. It's now at 38.35, less than 1%, but nonetheless worth noting. My stop loss though is at 39.12, so it's going to have to rally quite a bit more before I get stopped out of it. But you can see here it is rallying right into resistance. So I am pessimistic on Tiva's ability to continue rallying, particularly since it's already oversold in the short term as well. All right, let's go ahead and look at some of your charts here. INFA. This one's breaking out nicely. I like it a lot. This was one we were looking at it recently. It broke out yesterday. The ideal entry would have been around 30.58. It's at 31.70 now, so another $1.20 higher from where we were targeting it. At this point, I would not go chasing it. I would wait to see it over the next 4 or 5 days if this thing can pull back to like a $31 level, and then you might be talking about a good price to get long at. AFAM. Let's look at this one here. I'm not seeing a strong disposition for myself in one direction or the other. It's been somewhat trading sideways with a slight decline to it over the last 9, 10 months. So in fact, you could say it's a slight channel downward. There you go. So to the upside, I would be weary of getting long here because you're going to run into some heavy resistance at 21.27. And to the short side, if it doesn't, the way I would probably trade it is look at what happens when it gets to this 21.25 level. If it starts to sell off here, that might be a good time to go short, and maybe not wait all the way until the 1730s. But if you could short it from, I don't know, after it touches this upper band here, get short around $21 or so, and then try to ride it back lower, that would be an ideal setup. KORS, and this one's from a long-term perspective. Very similar to what we were just talking about before about sideways consolidation, just in a different shape and form. You have a box that it is currently trading in, and I expect it's probably going to stay in that box for a while longer. I don't see any major upticks in volume here that would lead me to believe that this thing is ready to break out. But once it does, that is your cue. If it breaks out to the upside, that is your cue to get long. To the short side, and this is probably what you would rather have happen, for it to have a complete breakdown to below this box level here, which would also coincide with the 200-day moving average almost. So around 47.31, you'd want to get short on it, because then you have this nice little gap that needs to be filled at $43. So there's a quick $4 that should be able to be made on this stock if it can break down below this box. So right now I would say the long-term outlook on it is neutral, and play whatever it decides to do once it gets outside of this box. So below the box get short, above the box get long. MTH. All right, this one's already a runner here. If you're going to play it, you're better off waiting for a multi-day pullback, not something where it shoots up and then comes straight back down the next day, because those aren't the kinds of stocks that you want to buy in the pullback. Instead, you probably want it to be like over like the course of a week. So at $38.90, $39 flat, that would be your ideal entry on it. And oftentimes those pullbacks and bounces higher, they'll go much higher than the original breakout price. Let's see, POL. I should be able to get through all these charts today. I tried to put this thing under 15 minutes, and I still have about 8 minutes to go, so I don't see why I can't get through all these charts. POL though, I wouldn't short it. It's in a breakout mode, but it's clearly pulling back some. How much this pullback lasts, I don't know, but it is a light volume pullback, which would negate any reason to get short on it. But you have a clear support level, and this is another thing. I would probably wait for it to pull back to a solid, respectable short level. You have a gap right here that still needs to be filled as well. So it coming back down to 2140 or so is not out of the realm of possibility here, and probably is needed for it to really put together a sustained push higher. CTRX. Full breakout mode, wouldn't chase this one. Don't even know if I would play it on a pullback here. Ideal entry would have been 51.93, so it's about 1% beyond that. But even if you could have gone in at 51.93, the reason I wouldn't have done so would be because of this huge monster rally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days straight. Oftentimes it's extremely, extremely difficult for a stock to go up 6 days straight. If it hits like the 6, 7 mark, there's usually an imminent pullback on the horizon. So don't play this one. Even if you can get in at 51.93, I think it's going to probably pull back further than that. This is going to be I would say it's likely to be more of a head fake than a legitimate breakout. Hain. Did I say that right? Yes. All right, this one is not worth getting long, and this is more of a short setup. And you have a clear support level at 51.64. So a break below 51.64, you're going to want to get short to. If you're long on it, I would put my stop at 51.64 and push below it. Go ahead and stop yourself out and get out, move on to the next trade. Very bearish, you have what I would call a descending triangle pattern going on here, where you have a flat support level followed by a downtrend that's forming consecutive lower highs and lower lows. So you have a lower low, and a lower high right there. Lower low, lower high. And so once it breaks out, you should have some nice momentum to the downside on this stock. QIHU. Full on breakout. If you're long in it, I would probably trail it according to the 8-day moving average, or you can also go to the 10-day moving average. I think that would probably work much better for this stock. Trailing it, if it closes below or breaks below that 10-day moving average, that's where you want to get out at. So 29.95 you could put it at. The only problem is that's about $2 away from the current price action, which means you're giving up a lot, especially if you just recently gotten into it in the last few days. But if you're just riding this trend up higher, that 10-day moving average has provided some solid support in the last couple of weeks. So whack. Definitely a no-go here in either direction. You have this gap here on a what almost is like a breakout play, I guess. But good chance this gap gets bought out or gets filled. DDD. One of the rare things you see in the stock market is a breakout of a bearish wedge, and that's what happened here, but it quickly floundered and has come back inside of it. What I would probably do is just adjust the lines a little bit on this one since we last did it, and it's still in a quasi-bearish wedge nonetheless. I would say short-term target for this stock is going to be somewhere around $53. There's really no play on it at this point. Gap here needs to be filled after from 1-2. So RNF. Full on breakout, 41.53 is your desired level. 41.50, let's say 41.25 is your desired breakout level. Wouldn't get long on it at this point. I'd stay away from this particular stock. Now, if it can pull back, we can draw a line for that. If it can pull back to roughly around the 40.67 level, but not do it in one day, do it over a multi-day period, I would say that would probably make for a good entry at around the $41 level. Let's just say $41. I know I gave a different price just a minute ago, but let's say $41 just to keep it easy. SSYS, I'll have to pick up the steam a little bit with these here. Nice uptrend here. You can see that it's got multiple consecutive highs, higher lows. To the upside, though, those higher highs are sort of flattening out a little bit, so it's hard to get too excited about this stock. I'm not seeing anything that really sticks out about SSYS that would make me want to get long or short on it. OCN. Well, OCN, you're breaking out of a box today. You can see here this was the box that you would have wanted to have followed, and it's doing a great job of breaking out. Ideal entry would have been at 36.26. Actually, let me double check that. 36.55. Your stop loss would have been, you don't want that stop loss. That's pretty tight, at least it is for me. I think that the problem with this one is finding a good stop loss, so I probably just have to come up with a makeshift one at 35.33. Overall, it's a good. I wouldn't go chasing it at this point. There has been some profit taking. You've got a bear flag here on the 5-minute chart that could wreak some havoc for the longs that got into it today. So be cognizant of that. And but you know, on the breakout front, it has some good volume coming in from yesterday and today. But at this point, you're sort of late to the ball game to jump in it at this point. If you're already long in it, then just, you know, I'd probably put a stop loss below the day's lows because it has, you know, broken out nicely already today. OCN Soda. If you're long, I wouldn't let it get below 44.20 before thinking about booking gains. It's probably going to try and fill this gap at 45, 40, or 44.84, so expect that. Very volatile stock. You have a trend line in place. You could also put your stop loss below this trend line so that if it retests it and breaks below it, like say 44.50, that's where you'd want to get out at. NSM. Another gap fill play. I wouldn't go chasing this. If you're long on it, I'd probably look for a reason to book my gains in that play. CTRX. Well overextended, bounced off the 200-day moving average. Did I already do this one? Yes, I did. AMZN. Easy money's been made in this stock. It broke out at 261. I would say the play probably was much earlier than that if you could have bought it off of that 200-day moving average. Not the easiest stock to play, but you know, nonetheless, I wouldn't go chasing this one either. ALKS. This is the last one. Be real brief. Breaking out, ideal breakout would have been at 1924. You don't want to go chasing it at this point. Wait for the pullback before getting in. But you know, let's review it again before getting in at the long side. That's all the time I got. You guys have a great day. If you have any questions, I'll be in the Share Planner Splash Zone. Y'all take care and God bless.